Ajay Bodke from Prabhudas Lilladher now joins us. Ajay, what is the sense that you're getting on the markets? Again, it's feeling as if FIs don't want to own India every day. They just come out and sell. What is the sense that you're getting from your clients? What essentially is happening?
I think there are two or three concerns which have pulled the market down over the last 8-9 sessions. And the primary concern domestically was an expectation of below normal earnings for the fourth quarter. As also sort of the concern expressed by sections that the monsoons will be below par, and hence it will aggravate the problems insofar as the rural demand is concerned. Now, if you consider, Pankaj, both these problems separately, now insofar as the earnings season is concerned, I think with the exception of the IT names, which essentially have faced tremendous headwinds due to cross-currency problems, I think all the other earnings have been far better than the worrying expectations that investors had when the earnings season started. I think if you look at the BFSI sector in particular, then you'll see that right from HDFC Bank, Yes Bank, IndusInd Bank, as well as ICICI Bank earnings, what is very clear is that the stressed asset problem, I think we have already seen the bottoming out of that problem. And as ICICI Bank said yesterday, that FY16, the incremental addition to stress assets will be lower than what was seen in FY15. And the same was echoed by many managements. If you look at NBFC sector, Mahindra & Mahindra Financial Services, LIC Housing Finance also have posted numbers better than what market was expecting. DCB also posted numbers right in the beginning, far better than market expectations. So I would say that the entire BFSI pack has posted numbers far better than market expectations, and BFSI is the largest constituent of the Nifty. Around 30% of total weightage is with BFSI numbers. In fact, on the PSU side, where there was heightened concern about stress assets, both NPAs as well as restructured assets being extremely high, and worry about deterioration there in the current quarter and going ahead, the Andhra Bank numbers that have come have clearly belied those expectations. And we've seen that the gross NPAs as well as net NPAs in case of Andhra Bank have come off because due to sharp recoveries that the bank was able to effect. If you look at the other numbers, auto numbers, Maruti numbers, one of the best numbers that I can recollect in terms of operating margins, 15.8%, and volume outlook is also not as worrisome as the market initially thought it to be before the results were announced. Reliance numbers, 9.9% for the GRM expected, they posted $10.1 as GRM. So across the sectors, when I look at numbers, cement numbers, both Ultratech and ACC numbers were, if you just lay out the exceptional increase in depreciation because of change in policy is concerned, I think both the companies posted numbers far better than market expectations. So I think the concerns on the fourth quarter numbers clearly, the numbers clearly belie, I think, the concerns that market had on the fourth quarter numbers, with, as I said, exception of IT. But to be fair to the IT companies, many companies like TCS, Mindtree, Persistent, KPIT had already forewarned that there will be problems insofar as numbers are concerned for this quarter because of cross-currency headwinds. And let's not forget that the FY16 NASSCOM guidance is a tad higher than FY15 guidance in dollar terms. 12 to 14% is what NASSCOM has guided, which is better than FY15 guidance. And with the American and UK economy on a stronger footing today than they were a year back, and these two being principal markets of IT companies, I think at with the sharp downswing that one has seen in prices, I think one should advocate looking at some of the IT names with a medium-term perspective. Because let's not forget that from macroeconomic perspective, I think we are the biggest beneficiaries of the fall in oil and other commodity prices. $101 billion of oil we imported in FY14 on net basis, 160 billion on a gross basis, and 60 billion of exports we did. So on a net basis in FY14 we imported $101 billion of oil, and oil prices are down nearly 50%. So $50 billion of improvement is more than 2% of GDP. It has the potential for India to be a current account surplus country, in addition to being current.
I just wanted to understand that why essentially this sell-off is coming in the last 8-10 days? I mean, what's happening? Because the point that you made about numbers, it was always known that numbers are going to be polarized, numbers are going to be very different. But what essentially has changed that suddenly a view that one should just sell if they are overweight on India?
Yeah, I think what really, in addition to the concerns on poor monsoons and the fourth quarter numbers, I think what really pushed many investors is the scaremongering that happened on the MAT issue. I think I think the government should have responded swiftly in terms of squashing all those scaremongering numbers of 40,000 crores of total notices being issued, when as the government replied in Rajya Sabha, it is only 680 crores. So I think when the market was a bit wobbly, the amplifying of that issue is what sort of pushed some investors sort of to book profits, because India was the best performing market till some time back, year to date. So I think that issue, now that the government has come out very strongly and said that treaty benefits will be applicable, and they're also considering sort of on a prospective basis to the coupon issue also is to be considered positively. I think, in my opinion, I think we are somewhere close to the bottom insofar as the fall is concerned, and one can sort of one can start seeing money coming back into India, because let's not forget, Pankaj, even today ECB is printing around 60 billion euros worth of fresh liquidity it is creating. Japanese Central Bank is creating $40 billion equivalent of liquidity in the market every month. So $100 billion of liquidity is coming into the market through bond purchases by these two large central banks, and China has reduced its reserve requirements by 1% and infused around 1.3 trillion yen worth of liquidity. So I think from the global liquidity perspective, it remains extremely benign. As and when sort of the current panic stems, I think one will start seeing value emerging in Indian equities and money coming back into Indian equities again.
Right, Ajay, just stay on with us. We just briefly had Ajay Botke earlier. He's still with us. Ajay, a view on ICICI Bank, 8% higher. Do you think all the positives are now getting factored in?
I think the numbers have surprised the market pleasantly. It forms part of our top picks. We are having a target price of around 390 with a 1-year perspective in ICICI Bank. Qualitatively, numbers are very good. The company is guiding at 18-20% growth in loans, mainly coming from the retail sector. As I mentioned in answer to the previous question, the concern asset quality, stressed asset quality also sort of seem to have bottomed out. And FY16 incrementally, stress assets will be lower than FY15. The company is expecting doubling of its fee income in FY16. So I think, and the stock also, if you look at from 1-year perspective, has been an underperformer vis-a-vis the other names in the sector. So I think the rally has more legs to run insofar as banking sector in general is concerned, and ICICI in particular.
Right. A view on Maruti. It's up 5%. It was up 3% yesterday.
Yeah, again, figures among our top picks. Maruti numbers have, as I mentioned, extremely strong. The operating margin at 15.8% has been one of the highest quarterly margins. Our analyst is expecting that FY16, although the company is guiding very conservatively at I think 10% volume growth, his estimate is that it should be at least 13% with a back-ended sharp increase in the volumes. I think Maruti should form part of the core portfolio for investors in auto, in addition to some auto ancillary names like Motherson Sumi, Bharat Forge and Ashok Leyland. Because the commentary that we are getting when we talk to some of these companies in capital goods is that mining sector, the first green shoots are emerging, and a direct beneficiary of an improvement in mining sector is the heavy commercial vehicle sector. And Ashok Leyland being a pure play, I think our analyst is very positive. It is part of our top picks, and we have a target price of 88 rupees in Ashok Leyland with a 1-year perspective.
Right. Did you see United Phosphorus numbers? It went down yesterday on the first reaction of numbers, and today is up 6%. Do you like that name? I remember you have liked that name around 200, 300 odd levels.
125 levels. In fact, we had put out a buy on United Phosphorus. This was around a year and a half. And I think the company's results again have surprised the markets, both sort of, on the margins front as well as on the working capital management. The company continues to do very well. I think one should look at the script from a medium-term perspective.
Right. Britannia has seen a good correction. That was a name that you had spoken about earlier. You used to like that name. It has seen a significant correction. Are you still on the positive side on Britannia?
Yeah, I think our analysts had turned cautious when we last spoke. I think around 3 to 4 weeks back, I had mentioned that essentially the valuations had seemed to be a tad expensive. Although insofar as its raw materials are concerned, there has been a sharp drop in many of its raw material prices on a YOY basis. But the feeling essentially was that the stock was expensive. But subsequently, one has seen a sharp correction in Britannia. I would still wait for some more correction before advocating an entry into the company.
Right. But if somebody is holding it from before, you would advise them to hold on to this name?
Certainly.
Right. Do you cover Wockhardt? I mean, it's been very volatile. Do you like that name after the correction?
No, I won't have any comment there because I have not looked at the company for some time. But in pharmaceuticals, Pankaj, I would advocate investors to look at. Yeah, I would advocate investors to look at Glenmark Pharmaceuticals. The company has just Temasek has taken a 4% stake at 875 just a couple of weeks back. $150 million has been raised, which will be used by the company to partially repay debt on its books, and a total of $550 million of gross debt the company has, $450 million of net debt company has. And our estimates are that over the next 3 years, the company should be able to raise a free cash flow of around $400 million, which net of capex, which should be able to completely alter its debt equity ratio. The company is also expecting 2 large approvals for products to be launched with exclusivity approvals in the current financial year, and a very large one in FY17 with potential around $250 million, that one particular product in FY17. So I think in Glenmark's case, we are having a target price of around 1186 with a 12-month perspective. And our analyst is penciling in a 26% growth in top line this in FY16, followed by 37% in FY17, and a very large bottom line growth of 66% in FY16, followed by 89% in FY17. The ROE of the company should be around 27.6% in the current financial year, and should see a sharp jump to around 38.2% in next financial year. So from mid-cap pharma perspective, Glenmark is what we will strongly advocate investors to look at. And a large cap perspective, a sharp fall in price of Sun Pharmaceuticals because of technical reasons, because of Daiichi stock sort of supply coming in. We believe it's the right opportunity for long-term investors to get into Sun Pharmaceuticals. The stock should do exceedingly well, and fundamentally the reason for we don't see any reason for the sharp fall. There's only technical reason why the prices came off. So I think that company again should do extremely well with the next 1 year perspective.
Right. Do you have coverage on Infosys? Do you like that name? I mean, guidance was pretty okay. Numbers were also on the lower side. Do you think that the correction was warranted to 1965 levels?
I think if you are taking a medium-term call, this is a very attractive price to get into Infosys. In fact, I looked at the numbers. I also was on the call. And I think the medium-term vision that was laid out by Dr. Sikka for 2020, and the details with which he explained how he intends to achieve that, I think is something which has left many investors impressed. Plus, as you mentioned, the FY16 guidance also sort of is on a stronger side. The company reiterated that what Mr. Murthy had said, that by FY17 the company should be at the forefront insofar as large IT companies is concerned in terms of growth trajectory. I think the company reiterated that again in the con call. The company's move towards more value-added products on the consulting side. A lot of examples were given by Dr. Sikka in terms of how the company has been able to add value in those high-end consulting works for some of the large marquee names in Europe and America. And the valuations, I think, are attractive to the sharp plunge that one has seen in the price. So I would advocate investors to form core positions in Infosys with a medium-term perspective. And there, I think we have a target price of around 2550 with a 1-year perspective.
Right, Ajay. Thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon. Hope you have a great day going ahead. Let's take a break. Geometric is down.